Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the grand opening ceremony of the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center here in Philadelphia on the campus of Drexel University. I'm Dent Wilkins, Senior Vice President of Operations at U.S. Squash, and I'd like to introduce my guest host, Linda Elriani. Linda, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here in this wonderful center.
So we're in this amazing backdrop, as you can see here at the Specter Center. I'm lucky to have Linda, who's a true legend of squash, both worldwide and in the U.S. So Linda is a former world number 3, has played over 100 times for England, representing her country, and is now the director of squash in Brooklyn at the Heights Casino. So nice to have someone of your squash pedigree here to actually share this night with us. And what's your impression of your first time here in the center?
It's such an amazing center. There's so much color. Even though it's a large center, it just feels cozy. You can feel it's going to be a community center, but you can feel there's always a sense of community as you walk in. Obviously, there's so many courts. The glass courts are amazing. I love all the color. I mean, look at this amazing color on the ceiling. I mean, it's visually amazing. And I wish I could be a junior again and play here, or pro again and play here, you know?
Well, even though you're not, you're still welcome to come and play here. That's the whole idea of the Specter Center. So we'd love you to come down and play. So just to give everyone a little bit of an idea of what we're doing here tonight, we've got the grand opening ceremony, which will formally begin just after 5:30 here, which we'll cut to live. Linda and I are going to do a pre-show. We've got a couple special guests who will be coming in to join us, and we'll love to hear from them. So the Specter Center has 20 squash courts and is located in a federally designated promise zone, one of 22 across the country, which is designed to provide economic development to underserved communities. And the Specter Center is perfectly centered and positioned to do that. So without further ado, I'd like to invite someone up who's a big part of the organization and a big part of getting us to this point. So I'd like to welcome Sue Venkatesan, our board chair of U.S. Squash.
Great.
Hi, Sue.
Hi there. Hi, Dent.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Linda.
So we're so happy to see you. I asked the same question of Linda, but it's been a long road to get here. Just what's your impression starting off tonight?
I am humbled. This is incredible, amazing. This project is a decade in the making, and we're here today, and it's just the beginning. So, it's right now. It's a moment to celebrate. Take a breath. Exhale. It's been a long road, as you said, but this is just a milestone. It's not the destination, and we're really looking forward to the future and using this as a springboard for the future of our sport.
I mean, I know as a staff we're excited about this is our kind of the platform, right?
Yes.
We've built it, and now it's time to
Yes.
jump off it. So we're extremely excited. In that vein, can you talk a little bit about the impact that a center like this and community centers nationwide?
Yeah.
So this, as many people might know, is part of the U.S. Squash Community Affiliate Network, which is like-minded facilities providing broad access and mixed programming nationwide. What sort of impact can the Specter Center and other community affiliate partners have on the sport and on the organization around the country?
First, can I mention that this is also the new headquarters for U.S. Squash.
Of course.
It is our home for Team USA. So this was always a part of the vision for this national center. But what has been incredible about the journey is how the mission has evolved of this center to become the world's largest community squash center. And in particular, I think what you've just described, it is a partner and an anchor within a network of mission-aligned partners that are really seeking to grow the sport, to integrate our community, we all know, as squash players, we all know how amazing our sport is, and we want more people to benefit from it and see that. And this is our opportunity, coast to coast, to really have partners who are driving growth of the sport by introducing it to new players. We're global and diverse, and we want to raise that to the next level here.
Great. I was saying to someone the other day when I walked in, I think 2 or 3 days ago, the pros were beginning to practice on the glass court for the U.S. Open presented by Truist that we're doing right now. But right next door on the court was a new public middle school team that's starting up, one of 10 middle and high school teams from the Philly School District that will be playing here for the first time this year. And a bunch of kids here doing a community clinic for the first time and learning the sport.
Right.
So to see the number 2 player in the world right next door to kids learning it for the first time was a really special moment. So I think it shows exactly what you're talking about.
Well, Linda, you talked about the space, and we were chatting that it's bold, it's big, but it's really intimate.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, that community, having a world-class athletes playing against people playing the sport for the first time, that is remarkable about our sport. Our sport has that community at the heart, and now we get to scale it through our community squash affiliate program. That, to me, is what's exciting. U.S. Squash didn't come up with the community squash concept or movement. The community did. But our role is to take what is the best out there that people are doing and to help scale that. So that's truly exciting.
Perfect.
The last thing I want to say is this is about inspiring the next generation of players. And what you just described, having side by side in the courts, I walked in and it is so inspiring.
So Sue, I know there are a couple hundred people here who want to meet you in the grand opening or say hi, so we're going to let you go, but thank you so much for stopping by, and enjoy the grand opening.
And thank you all for all of your hard work. It's what people don't know is something like this is a long road, and there's a lot of challenges along the way, and we've just had such an amazing team here to execute on this,
Sue.
so thank you all of you.
Perfect.
All right.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
So Linda, you're at the head of an amazing facility that has so much activity between tournaments, junior squash, adult squash, everything that's going on. You of all people understand what the power of a facility can do, basically in bringing people together. So can you give me a sense, this is really your first day here, but just feeling the energy in the space of what this will mean for running events, for bringing people together, for developing new players, like it's got to be pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, to have this many courts under one roof, I mean, where I work, we have split venues, so we have 4 courts in one and 2 in another, and that causes some challenges. So to have all these courts under one roof and be able to have all sorts of different events and activities going on, and I mean, it almost makes the mind boggle how many different things you could do, it's endless, really.
Absolutely, and we're lucky to be in a really diverse and dynamic neighborhood. Our goal was never to build a national center in a field somewhere, and we were really fortunate through our partnership with Drexel University to be able, which has been a part of the U.S. Open since 2011, when we've been literally across the street at the Daskalakis Athletics Center, at the Arlen Specter Squash Center, running the U.S. Open, to be in our own place in a space that was made possible through that partnership. We're really lucky. So we want to be a part of the neighborhood, and we're just starting.
No, you definitely are. To be able to walk around here is amazing.
Perfect. So I'd like to bring someone else, as we wanted to start about national teams. I said that you've played for England for many, many years. I won't say how many years, but you were at the top of the game forever. And we've got an up-and-coming player from the U.S. that we'd like to bring in and have you learn a little bit about the programs that are going on here.
Yeah,
so Shah
awesome.
John Khan, please join us.
I guess.
Hi.
Hi, Shah. Your jacket's putting us to shame a little bit, but otherwise, thank you for coming. So, Shah, you're up-and-coming player from the U.S., just reached number 40 in the world, and have taken over now as the top U.S. male player in the world rankings. So, number 1, congratulations, and thanks so much for coming tonight.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for being here.
Perfect.
Thanks.
So I hear that you've been training here a lot.
Yeah, I've been training here a lot. I was here before the British Open. I trained with Bengi, and he's doing a strength training and all. And I felt really great after that. I'm having a good season so far.
Good. You must have with your highest ranking.
Yeah.
And I understand that there are lots of international players that come through on their way to other tournaments and they stop off. So have you had the chance to hit with some other international players as well while they're here?
Yes, always. Even before the U.S. Open, a lot of players were here. I got a hit with them before the tournament. It's a good exposure for all the U.S. players. To have the presence of the top players, learn from them. Get the experience, what they're doing, how they play, how they practice, what they do, on a regular basis.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
And do you think that's really helped you to get to where you are now, having that extra exposure, your top ranking that you've got at the moment?
Yes, I think it's as you've been on the tour for so many longs, you're a legend. The small things affects us a lot.
Yeah.
The small improvements, if you just work on it, it's a big change. Yeah.
Perfect. So, you know, one, as an organization, we're so excited about Team USA right now, and you know, normally you're all traveling around the world, which obviously you are still, but just being able to come in and see you training in the morning, in the afternoon, and night, and having the group, it adds an amazing energy to the space, and we know it's hard work for you, but it's actually really enjoyable for all of us. So your pain out there is a lot of fun for us, even though you're working so hard. So
Thank you.
Can you tell us just briefly, you know, how this adds to basically the fun of being a pro? You know, it's sometimes a lonely life to a certain extent, traveling the world, you're on flights all the time, playing tournaments, you know, in any different place, and obviously it's been a tough last 18 months, but it must feel it's kind of an uplifting moment to be basically coming back to the sport and then having this as a resource.
Yeah, I think it's for all the US players, you know, like it's big uplifting for us, you know, like during the pandemic, everyone was like down, you know, like if the tour is going to come back, you know, like struggling with where to play, with the facility and all. But after coming here, like it's a big change for us. Like uplifted, like motivated us more, you know, to play more, to get to the next level. And having this facility is it's really like a lucky for us. It's a blessing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry
to cut you off, but we're kicking Shaw out because it's a fast-moving evening. He's got squash to play, and we've got a grand opening to get to. But Shaw, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. And yeah, congrats on reaching your high ranking, and we know you're going to keep moving up. So good luck.
Nice to meet you guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So Linda, just expanding on that, I mean, squash in the U.S. at the top level, not just at the growth we're talking about, but for our players that are playing at the highest levels around the world, they're really on a positive trajectory. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, as someone who's been at the top of the game before, what you're seeing going on with squash in the U.S. and Team USA and their success on the world stage?
Yeah, I mean, squash in this country has grown exponentially since I've been here. I've been here with my husband Laurent for the last 15 years. And yeah, squash is growing in every department, in the juniors, in the pros, and we have so many. And being a woman, I'm obviously extra proud of the women that you've got in the pro game. I think there's 4 in the top 25, I think is correct, with Amanda just getting the number 3 spot in the world. I mean, how incredible is that? Yep. And I wouldn't be surprised if she gets to number 1 in the near future, honestly, with the way she's playing. And you know, coming from a country like England, where I started playing squash when squash was in its boom, it sort of, you can feed off of that. They're all going to inspire each other, push each other, and it just sort of builds. There's layers, it builds and builds, and it's just going to keep inspiring, I think, more and more people to go pro even, because you have so many great players in this country that don't necessarily go pro. I think this could actually inspire some of them to go to college, but then go pro afterwards, and know that there's a great facility for them to train at, and they've got somewhere they can come with like-minded people, and you can all do it together, and then just build up from there. So I think it's amazing. I mean,
the facilities here, to summarize for people who haven't been able to been through the building yet, so we just hired Ong Bang Hee as the Gannick family U.S. Squash head national coach. Him, along with our director of national teams, Adam Hamill, do an exceptional job. All the athletes here, we have dedicated physio space, Team USA locker rooms, treatment centers, great physio work. So just a place where they can come and wake up every day worrying about how they're going to be their best, along with the support that we provide through the High Performance Program, which is direct financial support to athletes and resources to help them be at their best. We want them to wake up in the morning and say, how am I going to get better at squash today? And they're certainly doing that. Oh yeah, you're giving them everything they could possibly need. Normally, players will be going all over the place. So I want to move it along so we keep moving, and we have a special guest who's able to join us tonight, which we're really excited about. So we'd like to actually welcome up Congressman Connor Lamb. Welcome.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming. I mean, this is your first time obviously here at the Specter Center for the grand opening. We're really excited you're here. Just give us your impressions of the space off the bat.
I got to say I'm blown away. I went to school for 7 years next door to here, so I sort of remember what this building was like, and I mean what you guys have done to the place it's just such a tribute to this organization, and as someone that represents this state in politics, I have to say I'm honored that you put your headquarters here and do this with a building like this. It's great.
Perfect.
And what do you think, obviously it's an amazing community centre, what do you think the impact will be on Philadelphia and the surrounding areas having this centre here?
You know what I think the biggest impact is going to be is I take it that Philadelphia was already known as an important capital for squash in the United States, like an important city. But what we've all been looking at over the last year especially is there's so many opportunities for so few, and so many Philadelphians or kids around here might not get those same opportunities. And so the fact that this place is dedicated to engagement and access with the broader community. I think they told me you're going to start the first ever public school league for squash here in Philadelphia, which is incredible. I mean, that could change a kid's life. Just the ability to spend time in a building as modern and impressive as this could light up a kid's entire future, improve their health and well-being and outlook, you know, toward what they're going to do with their life beyond the game of squash.
Yeah. It's
just a huge open door for kids that really need it, and that's what I'm excited about. And this is part of a federal promise zone here in Philadelphia that Senator Specter created for this purpose, to try to give more opportunities to kids. And so getting to see that come to fruition is really exciting for people like us.
Yeah.
Well, and you're right, we are starting the first public high school league, and with 10 new teams that'll start this year, and we see that not as the end, but really the beginning for it. Nothing adds energy to a facility than a bunch of middle schoolers and high schoolers being around, so we can't wait to have them. Well, we know you've got a lot of people to see downstairs, and we're honored to have you here at the grand opening, so we'll let you go, but thank you so much for
I hope
stopping
someone will
by.
just teach me how to play while I'm down there. I must admit, I have some catching up to do on that.
Do one clinic, and then Linda was world number 3, so you can get out there with her on the
Good,
side.
okay, go easy on me. Go easy on me, that's all I ask. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much, Congressman. So, you know, we're excited about, we've talked a lot about the juniors. Fun part for us here with this type of court capacity and with the community squash model is making sure the squash is accessible for all ages. So we just don't want to see the kids coming in from those schools. We want to see their parents here, their grandparents here, trying out different versions of the game, participating in leagues, just doing it for fun and a way to stay healthy. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
So we now have another special guest. They're all special, so we're going to keep them coming. So we'd like to welcome up U.S. Squash President and CEO Kevin Klipstein. Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
So, Kevin, we know it's been a slow and easy run up to opening a small little place like this. So you look amazingly rested somehow after rolling into this. But tell us about kind of the excitement leading into the grand opening tonight.
Well, I'm exhausted and I'm inspired. I mean, it's great to have people here. It's great to have the energy here. Reality is, I kind of thought by opening this, we'd sort of feel done, and to a degree, it's just the starting line, I think, for the sport, and that's, to me, is what's inspiring and exhilarating, is to say, look, we now have a foundation from which to build, and we can show people how to make this happen in their communities. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the squash community, because I think people want to see the sport grow and thrive.
I think for us, you know, we haven't been able to do this alone. It's such a massive project. I know on our end as a staff and as a board, we're so grateful for all the partners and supporters who have made this possible. I mean, maybe a few words about just the amount of hands it takes to actually make this amazing place come to life.
Well, any project of this scale takes literally hundreds, potentially thousands of people. You've got hundreds of donors who contributed the funds. You have Drexel University sort of 10 years ago taking a bit of a risk and saying, hey, we want to partner with you, we'll host the US Open, and then with the partnership flourishing from there, being able to work with us to say, hey, how can we make this work? How can we make this happen? It's just amazing. So Drexel's been fantastic. The people at Drexel are fantastic. The Philadelphia squash community obviously is incredibly strong, right? And they've been amazingly supportive. Squash Smarts has been sort of in from the beginning in terms of their support of what the overall vision is of the center and of how squash can develop as more of a community-based sport into the future. So they've been fantastic. So obviously, the U.S. squash staff over the last 2 years, we've been down. We were furloughed down to 12 people. We're back up to 42 now with this center, and we're looking to make a big impact not only here but nationally as a result.
Great. Well, I know that I think you're going to be leading off the grand opening ceremony, which everyone's going to be able to watch live in about 5 or 10 minutes, and we hope that everyone's going to be able to stick around and watch that. So. It's actually quite a large space, so we're going to give you the time to actually make it to the other end of the facility for the grand opening. But you know, any closing thoughts that you'd like to share as we kind of leg into the opening here?
Final thoughts, I guess, is thank you guys for hosting. I think this is the first of many things we're going to be hosting. up here in the media center, and want to say, hey Kim, hey Tanner, hey Tegan, I love you. I'll see you soon.
So thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
So I wanted to touch on briefly, Linda, before we bring up our past guest and move towards the grand opening. So, you know, you are obviously a leading teaching professional up in New York, in one of the major markets for squash. The sport is growing in a lot of new markets around the country, but we think one of the biggest opportunities is in women's and girls, both in developing women's coaches, which we need a lot more of in the United States in order to bring people up, and to make sure that, just like the Specter Center wants to make everyone feel welcome and a part of the community as we are a part of the broader neighborhood, we want to make sure that women and girls of all ages are really an integral part to the sport and helping being at the forefront of driving it forward. The US Open that we're here at pioneered prize money parity for women and prize funds in 2013, which continues through today. So can you speak a little bit about you know, the impact of deeper integration of women's and girls programming, and you know, what you hope to see at the Specter Center and in squash, you know, more broadly moving forward?
I mean, first of all, I just want to say, you said about the prize money, that warms my heart completely, because it wasn't like that when I was playing. This was a while ago. I mean, I don't mean to rub it in, I'm just saying it's so amazing that you've done that now. I think it's so great. And obviously then you force other places to do the same thing, otherwise they look bad. So thank you first of all for doing that. Yeah, no, I really, really hope that they'll have some programming, especially for the young girls. I mean, we're fortunate enough to have pretty much just as many girls playing squash in Brooklyn as we do young little boys. So I hope that you can manage to do the same thing here with your programming. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what your programming you have planned, but there's so many great little players out there. Hopefully you can get them to a centre like this and they'll be out there playing, and they'll be our future players.
Well, we want to create and support 1,000 Linda Elrianes.
I would love to start playing squash here. Are you kidding? This
around
would be
the
like
country
a dream.
to grow the game. So
Yeah.
we'd like to bring in one more guest before we wrap and go to the grand opening. So I'm going to invite David Pullman, the Executive Director and Commissioner of the College Squash Association.
Hello.
Hi, David.
How we doing?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
So by intro, as I said, you run the College Squash Association, and the college game is one of the most exciting pieces of squash. It's absolutely incredible atmosphere. We're going to be excited to host a lot of college squash play here. But, you know, first, you know, can you imagine the atmosphere of a college squash match in this place?
I mean, we've never played in a space that's this big and this welcoming. Just to have all the people maneuvering around, checking out all the matches, I'm so excited. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere and the perfect place to host some great events in the future.
I mean, I know that at the Specter Center especially, and at like-minded facilities around the country where people have already been doing this work for years, one of our goals is to make sure that there's a broad pipeline of players coming into the sport, and then we bring in a completely diverse set and broad set of backgrounds from races, socioeconomic classes. Everyone who wants to play should be able to get on and play this great sport, and that's what these facilities are doing around the country. Can you say what that means kind of down the line as these kids get older and start entering the college game, what it means for what you're looking to do on the college side?
Sure, we're really proud of the opportunities that we provide, the number of teams and the number of schools that sponsor varsity or club squash on campus. It just continues to grow, the interest continues to grow year over year, and we need those people to come from all backgrounds to continue to play and fill those rosters. And so having facilities like this and all the other ones growing around the country is a huge part of our game and a huge part of our future. So the sustainability and health of college squash is intricately tied with U.S. squash, junior squash, and carrying on to adult squash in the future. And we're really excited to be right in that niche and welcoming as many players as possible.
Awesome.
Exciting.
I mean, it's amazing work. We're so excited to host a couple of the college championships here this year, and hopefully in future years. They bring great energy, and you know, there are, I forget, I think you probably know the number. How many college players were actually playing in the U.S. Open right now?
So I think the number was 18. We had 9 wins in the current or former CSA players.
Amazing.
In the first round yesterday, four players had buys. So you know, getting 13 former or current college squash players into the second round of the U.S. Open, a platinum event, is just can't say any more for the game.
I mean, just to drive that home, right now there are 64 players, the best 64 players in the world left in the event. 13 of them played college squash in the United States.
That's correct. Yep.
It's pretty unbelievable.
Yep.
We're getting now minutes away from the grand opening, so we will let you go, head down there, but thank you for stopping by. Thank you for all the work the College Squash Association is doing. You're a great partner for us, and we're lucky to work with you. So
we're lucky to be partners with you as well. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Great.
Appreciate
Have
it.
fun tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. So, Linda, that kind of reaches the end. Any kind of final reactions that you have before we get going and turn it over to the presentation?
I mean, I'm just so excited to see what the future brings with this place. You know, I mean, can you imagine being? I can only imagine being a junior now, playing on these courts. You can watch yourself play on these big screens. You can look back at your matches and learn from them. I mean, everything is so easy for them to have fun, to learn, to watch. I mean, it just doesn't get better than this, honestly. So, yeah.
Perfect. So, do we have a special guest?
Oh.
Perfect. So, Linda, we have one more special guest we're going to there. So, I'd like to invite David Gannick up, if he's available. There he is. Hi, David.
Hey, how are you, Dan?
Good, how are you?
Hi.
Nice to see you.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How you doing?
So we were talking earlier about national teams and about the center. You've been so integral to making this possible. We mentioned the Gannick family, U.S. Squash head national coach Ong Bang-hee, who just started. I mean, what an exciting hire, and you had a big part of that process. So tell us a little bit about your excitement.
We had a torch passing basically when Coach stepped down, and we needed new leadership at this important catalyst and inflection point for U.S. squash, and symbolized by this incredible building.
So you've been such an amazing supporter of the game. What about squash and about what's happening in the U.S. Inspires your family to support what's going on?
Well, it's really from personal experience in squash. I played squash. My wife played squash. We both played in college, and it's become a big part of our life and at an important time in our life. And now that we're no longer playing competitively, it was a way to stay connected to the game and something we care about, and try to really, with the ambition of building an incredible program.
I mean, it's not too late to get back and play competitively. The whole concept is we're going to be
true.
playing.
Now you're going to get my wife on my case.
That's good.
Hopefully she won't see it.
Okay, well we can edit you out if we really need to.
I can handle it.
It'll be fine.
I can handle it.
That's perfect. So, I hopefully you're staying around for the matches tonight. Team USA is doing amazing stuff right now.
Yeah, this is so exciting. I mean, all of the technology that you guys have, that we have here, those monitors, I mean, has an incredible feel. I guess we've set a new standard for squash centers globally here.
Definitely.
Yeah. We were talking earlier, this is kind of just the beginning for us. Now we've done it, but it just begins at this point. So
it is. It feels like an end, but it's really a beginning.
It's really a beginning. So
funny crossroads.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your part in making this possible.
Yeah, my pleasure, and thanks for asking me to come on. And it was nice to chat with you guys.
Absolutely. We hope you enjoy the grand opening.
I'm looking forward to it. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, as we just said, I mean, I think the best way to wrap it, this is really the prologue to a book, and now we're looking forward to writing the rest of it. We've got an amazing neighborhood that we look forward to learning from. We've got an amazing set of national teams, amazing set of programs that are here, and we're going to export basically this model across the country and learn from models across the country that are working. So we really can't wait. Linda, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to cut in about 5 minutes to the actual grand opening ceremony, so we hope that everyone stays on the live feed. You're going to be able to watch it, and then Linda, maybe we'll have a little wrap-up moment where you and I can give our impressions afterwards. So thank you so much, Linda. We hope that everyone enjoys the grand opening ceremony. Our official motto at the Specter Center is "You Belong," and that really underpins everything of what we do. So for those of you that joined live, thank you so much. You also belong at the Specter Center, and we hope to have you here soon, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the grand opening ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. The grand opening ceremony will begin momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our program is about to begin. Please give your attention to the Drexel University Task Force Dragon Color Guard. Please rise for the singing of our national anthem performed by Cameron Strickland, student at the University of the Arts.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please welcome Kevin Klipstein, President and CEO of U.S. Squash, and Sue Venkinson, Chair of the Board, U.S. Squash.
Well, if that wasn't the voice of an angel, I'm not sure what is. However, I am here to welcome all of you and those of you tuning in from all over the world to the grand opening ceremony of the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center. Let me first say, given the last 18 months we've had, how great it feels just to be here in person with people in this moment and in this incredible setting. We received a letter dated today from President Biden, and we thought it would be fitting to read it to all of you on this occasion. It reads, printed on White House letterhead, "Jill and I send our warm greetings to the Specter family and to all those attending the grand opening of the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center, the home of Team USA. My dear friend Arlen was a great senator, dignified, courageous, and always a fighter. He was a great voice of compromise on behalf of Pennsylvania in the United States Senate. Arlen was tenacious, a quality he demonstrated on and off the Senate floor. This included sports and, notably, the squash court. Arlen loved playing squash and was known to carry his racket wherever he traveled. He was tough on the court and relished a challenge. He channeled that same determination in everything he did. Arlen's activist spirit at the national level and in his beloved Philadelphia is reflected through the work of his devoted family and the enthusiasm of the educational, community, political, and business leaders who helped create this eponymous facility and make this formal dedication honoring Arlen possible. Thank you for your support. The Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center will now foster community among children and families of all backgrounds and attract people who already share his love of the sport as well as those new to the game. May Arlen's memory continue to be a blessing, and may his legacy continue to inspire us all. Our response to President Biden's letter may simply be, yes, they will. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, and welcome on behalf of the board and staff at U.S. Squash. Welcome to an inspiring evening and week. I'm humbled tonight. There are way too many people involved in this amazing project to thank properly. It was an incredible team effort. But I do want to thank two groups. First, to all the squash players here in the US and in the world, you are generous, tenacious, and passionate. And together, we are global, diverse, and strong. You inspire us at US Squash every day to do more. Thank you so much. This facility is a reflection of our incredible community. And as the world's largest community squash center, this special place and space is for all of us, locally, nationally, and globally. Those include our pro players worldwide, our veteran squash players of all ages, and those that don't know that they are squash players at heart yet. We are going to change that. It is a transformative platform for our organization and for the future of our sport. So thank you to everyone, the community. The late, great Senator Specter embodied so many of the best values of our sport. But at the core, he was a lifelong learner. A perfect match for a lifetime sport. We are lucky that these qualities are reflected in our exceptional management team. I want to thank Kevin Klipstein, who has stewarded this project from what was just a dream over a decade ago to a reality. There are so many people, again, who were incredible visionaries and pieces to this project. But I think, Kevin, you were there from the beginning, and you're still standing now. I don't know how, but thank you. And I want to thank the entire team at US Squash. We have an extraordinary staff and board. I am incredibly humbled and inspired by all of you. And now, it is my great pleasure to introduce a very special human, Ned Edwards, Executive Director of the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center. For those that know him, you will know he represents the heart and soul of this great community facility. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Can't tell you how wonderful it is to have you here. I wanted to give you a behind-the-scenes story of how the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center got built, and it's a love story with lots of passion and many layers and many actors. And I won't even begin to expect to cover all of the people who've been so important, but I wanted to give you a framework so that you understand how our sport came up with this. And it begins with John Fry. So John is passionate about squash, as probably most of us here are. It's witnessed when you watch him play doubles and you see him dive for the ball in the front of the court. You see him try to get out of the way to make sure he's not in his opponent's way as they're ready to strike the ball. The passion is just so clear. But John's family adores squash, and for many years, John had wanted to find a home for a national center to drive our sport forward. And here at Drexel, he found the perfect place on the entire globe to locate the Specter Center. Kevin Klipstein, as Sue referenced, has led the organization for 17 years and has gotten U.S. Squash to the point where we can make this place flourish. One of the early, if not the earliest conversations with John was Shane and Specter. Shannon and Tracy put their stake in the ground so that we could move forward. Did not happen without a commitment that strong. We would not have been able to go out in the community and say, this is real, without the stake that Tracy and Shannon put in the ground for us. And there's more that we'll share about Shannon and Tracy. But John allowed us to engage the full Drexel University community. Their team was led by the always exuberant, positive, and effective Dave Wilson. We had the greatest support from business, facilities, architecture, fundraising, community partnership. The Drexel community was amazing as navigating what John has said is one of the most complicated projects he's ever seen. And based on the kind of projects John has done for, not the largest, but one of the most complex. And the Drexel team was arm in arm with us throughout. Dave was also the link into the Department of Military Veterans Affairs. And they steward this building, which is owned by the Commonwealth, the State Armory building here. And to see their pleasure at how this armory, this facility, has been repurposed is incredibly rewarding. What I've said so far leads us to Eric Zilmer, the athletic director for 23 years at Drexel, who is one of the true Renaissance men that I've ever known. But Eric had a lot to do with Drexel and the Armory coming together, and his passion for squash is constant. And this building that we're in was built in 1916. We preserved some of the touches. We will, as we continue to finish everything, we will show the Armory's history to its date, to its when it was built, but dating all the way back to its origins in 1747 with Ben Franklin in the 1st National Guard unit in the country called the Associators. This is the home of the 103rd Engineers Battalion now, but it's an incredible heritage that we will be sure to mark throughout the center going forward. So just a personal note, at this stage, my wife, Lisa, is the next thank you. She heard about my conversation with John and Shane, and she said, yeah, there you go. So from that, our friends at Ewing Cole, the architects, did the brilliant master layout. And from there, we said, okay, what can US Squash fit in this place? And we got very excited about there's 43,000 square feet on the ground floor, and we built 76,000. In the process, we may have gotten a little ahead of ourselves. And a couple of years ago, I had lunch with Dan Keating, and I said, Dan, well, my goodness, you know, this is really something. He said, let me have a look at this, Ned. And I have to say that Dan helped US Squash reset. And he, with the wisdom that he has in the decades that he's been so important in Philadelphia construction, he set a plan for us. He set a plan to get us to a finish line. He brought us to Gilbane, directly to Gilbane, our general contractor. We didn't speak to anyone else. Dan said, look, I'm linked in with Gilbane. They're a great general contractor. No, they are a great partner to us. TJ Henderson was the project manager, and at one point, there was a lot of floor work that was tricky around the glass courts. And the fellow who was doing the wood and the metal was saying, hey, can you sign off on this? It's Friday afternoon. Can I get out of here? And I looked to TJ. He was down on his knees. This is deep into the project. Down on his knees measuring a gap between the wood and the metal on the floor. And that's our project manager from Gilbane. As I mentioned, this is a highly complicated project. Historic tax credits, new market tax credits. Thank goodness we had Noel Eisenstadt on our team. And there's just no one more expert, right? And these were tricky deals along with Drexel, the Commonwealth, US Squash. Thank you, Noel. And thank you for introducing us to Gabe Canuso, our project manager of D3 development, who's just the perfect fit for the spirit of this project. Part of the love and passion. Thank you, Gabe. And then there's Van Pottiger, our architect. So Van came to this, and we said, Van, big project. We'd give him a call at 9:30 at night and say, but we were kind of hoping this could be here. 9 o'clock the next morning, we'd see a drawing from Van. And so the way the air handlers, the way so many details are woven in so that this project got the Philadelphia Preservation Alliance Grand Jury Award is in thanks to Van Pottiger and the team that he built aside him. All their work was made possible by a few people, and this is not comprehensive, please, but it's just representative. And so Chase Lenfest was one of our early conversations. And Chase, as he's done before in such a big way with Squash Smarts, came in very strong with us, and his sister, Diane Lenfest-Meyer, and his mother, Marguerite, and Jerry came in too. And they've made a huge difference to this, to the squash complex and to the Squash Smarts component of this. And then Steve Gregg, who's led Squash Smarts for 15 years, and his family that love him with good reason for the work that Squash Smarts does, was a critical partner in us being able to push forward. Brian Roberts is just a dear friend to squash, a dear friend to many of us, and was also quite meaningful. Linda and Jim Robinson in New York, not Philadelphians, their passion for this project was not because they played squash, their children played squash, and squash meant to them something deeply meaningful, just at difficult times in their lives. What squash represented is where their passion comes from. Russ Ball, who just only could be there by our side and help out. David Schlossberg, whose support of ours showed up in the coaches' court And he said, I'd like to name a court called the Coaches Court so that every year another coach could be honored through time. Guy Costin followed with the Women's Court, which is going to happen in the same manner. And I just wanted to mention two people of many. And please, this is not to single out about particular generosity levels, or it's just to give you a flavor of the tone of the support. So Tom Poor, after lunch, Tom Poor's a man of very few words. Tom looked up at the end and he said, "How can I help?" Jack Herrick in Cleveland, who's not here tonight, for decades has been involved as the head of U.S. Squash, the World Squash, or the International Squash Federation, the World Hardball Federation. Jack Herrick said, "How could I say no to a project like this?" So kids for decades will be playing on your courts, Tom and Jack, and very proudly so. But the passion that is shown here is not just about how people feel about squash, it's about how people feel about people. Amanda Sobey has a court named after her. Mark Talbot. For someone like me who's been around so long, to call Peter Briggs such a legend, I can't say it in a more heartfelt way. Peter Briggs has a court, and the love expressed for Peter is on display at his doubles court. Paul Asiante has the High Performance Training Center for Team USA, which is so fitting. And then our corporate partners, and this comes tonight because there's some love here. So these screens that have transformed the center in a different way did not come from, they are from Comcast, but not from Brian. They're from Eileen Diskin at Comcast Business. And certainly Brian knew, but Eileen also felt this sport has changed my daughter's life. Truist, based out of Charlotte, is here in Philadelphia now with a corporate presence. Travis Rhodes, I spoke to Travis about what's going on with the US Open and our community mission, and he stood right by us. The presenting sponsor of the US Open, and Travis loves the concept of all 20 courts and all this stuff, but he loves what squash is doing going forward in the community. Penn Medicine has just joined us, and this will be as fulsome a relationship as we can have with an institution like that. And the beautiful presentation of the food and so much else is thanks to Michelle Leff and our friends at 12th Street. These are our corporate partners, and I mentioned corporate in this night because this is passion too. So this just segues to the US Squash staff. Forgive me for, if I were taking each of you on a tour, it would take even longer than this, but I won't take too much longer. But the US Squash staff is remarkable, and people don't understand that this nonprofit is driven by the hardest working, sharpest people that you could hope to have lead your sport. Socorro Miller is leading our community initiative. She has 10 public school teams signed up to play in the fall. Boys and girls who will begin early playing squash competitively, so their role in squash is real and full. They're going to watch other people play, how they get great. They'll see Team USA play, and they will be squash players for life like so many of us are. And then to Kevin Klipstein. So every conversation that I've had about the Specter Center over the last 5 years has been with my dear friends. I would not be speaking to my friends in the way I did if I did not trust Kevin Klipstein, trust him at an integrity level and at a competence level. And the organization can deliver on what we're asking people to build here. And so just all of us owe a debt of gratitude to Kevin and US Squash and what they have done in a quiet, diligent, effective way over the last 17 years. And now that we've got the Specter Center, Kevin's organization is going to make this place glow and flourish and deliver on the mission. Now, going back to Tracy and Shannon for a moment. They wanted to be very involved, and they were. Design meetings. The colors that we see in here that are so fun and vibrant, thank you, Tracy. And And the mural arts, we have Jane Golden and Mural Arts Philadelphia here at the other end of the facility, a beautiful mural that says, "A competitive space built on common ground." Thank you, Tracy. So the Specters, anyhow. Let's go on to Shannon. Shannon said, I said to Shannon a few weeks ago, "Anything I can do for you, Shannon?" He said, "Yeah, let's get out on a squash court soon." And so as much as Shannon loves playing squash, it's not quite like his dad, Arlen. Everywhere, Arlen Specter would find a way to play squash. It was just booked into every trip he did. And the quote that we have here in the center, I used to say the most important thing I do every day is play squash. Now I say the only important thing I do every day is play squash. This place couldn't be more aptly named than for Arlen Specter. So thank all of you for being part of, it's a love story, for how we feel about the game and the people in it. And we can't wait to have you be a part of the Specter Center going forward for years to come. Thank you.
I'm sorry I'm not with you tonight. I'm in Europe working, but I did not want to miss out on this incredible moment. First of all, John Fry, congratulations on your incredible generosity and vision and leadership. Ned Edwards, my good friend and teammate, you brought it to life. To all of US Squash for the teamwork and the commitment, and Kevin and others who have led this organization so admirably. But this is a game changer. And I start with the Specter family, Tracy and Shannon. We've had a few battles on the court, Shannon, but mostly friendship over many, many years. And your dad embodied all that's great about squash. I had the privilege of playing with him on many occasions. He's tenacious, had fun, and of course you build lifelong friendships. And that's what this facility is all about. And it's going to change US Squash. It's going to change the city of Philadelphia, going to bring tournaments and champions and world competitors, and also inner city youth learning a game that will help them with their life and education. So our family is so proud to be a partner, and I know Comcast is as well. So congratulations to everyone.
When I think of the Specter Center, I think of John Fry and the vision he described nearly a decade ago for a center that would be the envy of the world. I think of what the squash community has done through their generosity in making this center a possibility. The Specter Center is going to advance our mission in every way. It's going to raise the profile of the sport and of the organization. It's going to dramatically increase access. It's going to serve as an example for community squash on a grand scale and nationwide. When I think of the Specter Center, I think of all the unsung heroes who got us to this moment here today. And I just feel deep, deep gratitude. And the US Squash staff itself, they've done this out of love for the sport and the belief that they're improving lives, and they always give more than they get.
To me, the Specter Center represents our past, present, and future. We are a part of a network of community affiliates across the country looking to grow the sport in a new way, or actually in a deeper way, deepening the essence of what community means. It truly is a learning community. We will be together testing out new approaches to engaging the next generation of squash players.
I can't help but imagine a future where everyone has the opportunity to play squash and be part of this community for life. And to think that that lays the foundation for making this possible across the country.
Please welcome United States Congressman Dwight Evans.
my pleasure. It's my pleasure because when you have the opportunity to say a few words about somebody, does that person really know that person? And a lot of times you'll have people come say things about someone who really doesn't know. But I knew Arlen Specter extremely well. And I can say and share with you that when the president wrote that letter, you wish he had Arlen Specter today. Because when you think about the moment, you think about the moment of where we are, is really someone who really demonstrated the importance of being involved. And I say that because I actually knew him. I knew him well. The intensity that you described in terms of squash, though I never played against him, I watched the intensity of him. And when I watched in the back with what this message means about the young people and what this would do. So I say, Shannon, to the rest of your family, Joan, I thank you for continuing to contributing by the use of his name and to carry this message. And John Fry, it is this kind of partnership that the city and this nation needs. So through his behavior, he demonstrated what it meant and be purposeful to make a difference. He did not allow boundaries to stand in the way of making a difference. And I share with you by the fact that his name is on this facility really is a great message to an awful lot of people who will come through here. So I want to just add to all of you, to US Squash particularly, that I applaud you for using Arlen Specter as a role model. One thing I will tell you, Shannon, and riding by here going to 30th Street, making that ride to Washington, I would look up and see the name, and I thought to myself, this couldn't be more appropriate for what he's been about. So again, I thank you, and I congratulate you very much.
Communities are important to us at Truist. Our whole purpose is to inspire and build better lives in communities. We have a shared purpose with US Squash, and not only in how do we excel at the very top of our game, but also how we then branch out into our communities and make a difference. As we sit here in the Arlen Specter Center, you can see how the direct impact of squash is making a difference.
When I first heard about the Specter Center, I was blown away. A squash center smack dab in the city of Philadelphia that's going to be pulling in from all different avenues. Not only is it a location for squash to now flourish inside the city of Philadelphia, but it's going to be a national foothold that's rooted here in Philadelphia. And for the Philadelphia Public League to be able to tap into it, it's priceless.
Actually, when I walked into the Specter Center, my jaw dropped. I was like, there's so many courts, the lights, the music that was coming around everywhere. I was amazed. I was like, wow, I want to play, I want to play.
I feel that the center has put in a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of thought into what those relationships look like. I'm encouraged to know about all the programming that's going on within the schools, the local school community, both within West Philly and then also even outside. I know that there are a number of after-school programs that have been developed in addition to those relationships that are happening within the Parks and Rec, within the rec departments, the rec centers. So that's encouraging. But I think, again, I always get back to what's the listening, how well are the programs informed by what neighbors want and by what community wants, and that's always very important. And I think that the Squash Center has done a really good job at focusing on having those conversations.
Socorro walked into our recreation center and did my favorite thing, which was offer an opportunity for our kids. Socorro is from the neighborhood. She said that she had an opportunity for some of our summer camp participants to go down and experience the brand new US Squash Center down here. And I was thrilled. I love exposing the kids to anything new. they're kids, so they'll try anything at least once, and you never know who you're talking to. Any one of these little youngsters could be grown up to be an Olympian, world leader, I mean anything. So I don't try to choose for them what we expose them to, I just try to choose to expose them to everything.
Being right here on Drexel's campus and being a few blocks away from the Mantua community made it very easy to decide to, let's work with Parks and Recs, let's work with the local library, let's work with the YMCA, let's work with the School District of Philadelphia, and let's get squash in these schools, let's get squash in these programs, and let's integrate ourselves with programs that are already here, and let's give their students more.
To go into work every day and to have colleagues who were once 5th and 6th graders in the program, who are now running the program, is what Squash Marts is all about. 60% of our staff are graduates of the program. The other 40% are from the surrounding community. And together, they create an incredible fabric that is a very powerful after-school youth mentoring program.
Well, squash is an interesting sport. I just really like how it makes you feel while you're playing, because while playing, it somehow makes your arms sore, but in a good way.
After-school sports plays a huge role in a child's development. Not only is a student able to learn within the school day, but they can actually continue those school day developments and lessons within the after-school program. It allows the student to learn perseverance, determination, and overall become a well-rounded student. A lot of times it allows you to fail and still continue to persevere. So ultimately, when others may seem it's not possible to just continue on, within sports it shows you how to fall and get back up.
Every student will be offered a membership here at the Specter Center. They'll be able to participate in clinics, summer programming, they'll be able to take new member classes, they'll be able to do box leagues and tournaments. So this will give them the full exposure to what squash really is.
It's a really cool opportunity for us to help promote and start a public school squash league in Philadelphia. We're gonna have 10 teams, including middle schools and high schools, playing out of the Specter Center. We're gonna provide the coaching. We're gonna welcome them into our home here and make it theirs, and promote friendly competition among the teams and have them play schools all across Philadelphia.
I think we're so fortunate in West Philly, especially being right here in Drexel's campus, to say it's right here. It's a short walk away. In addition to the fact that a number of the Promise neighborhood schools are literally right down the street. So it's as the reach moves from kindergarten up through 12th grade. That's always very exciting. This is a sport that anybody can learn and anybody can participate in.
Please welcome John Fry, President of Drexel University.
So I've had the incredible honor of being the only witness to the 3 most important moments of this project, all of which I remember vividly. The first moment was almost 13 years ago when Kevin Klipstein came to visit me in Lancaster and laid out his vision for a national center for the sport of squash. The second moment, when Tracy and Shannon Specter made their historic commitment to this center, a gift which was unsolicited. And the third moment was when Ned Edwards sat in my conference room and said, "I want to help get this project done. You can count on me." 3 moments characterized by determined, humble, and generous leadership. And now, to everyone here, welcome to the 4th great moment, which we witnessed together as a community. For all of us at Drexel University, the opening of this stunning place, the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center, is a dream come true. It is also the culmination of an innovative, far-reaching, decade-long partnership with U.S. Squash. But we all know that dreams like this don't happen overnight. We worked so hard to get here, and there were many moments of doubt and despair. We began this partnership by bringing the US Open Championship to Drexel's campus in 2011. And as each US Open then has been played at Drexel's Arlen Specter Squash Center and at the Daskalakis Athletic Center, we realized that US squash is a tremendous asset for Drexel and for Philadelphia, where it was founded in 1904. The Open brings the excitement of world-class athletic competition to our campus, and that in turn has helped to inspire the success of Drexel's young varsity squash teams, players who have since established themselves as regulars in the upper echelon of the intercollegiate game under the leadership of our great head coach, John White. The Open also gives us a chance to showcase all that Drexel and Philadelphia has to offer to visitors from around the country and around the world. And our city and our region derive substantial economic benefits from the Open. At the same time, the US Open has enabled us to live our values of advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. For instance, this competition paved the way in 2013 for parity in prize money between women and men, the first major professional squash tournament to do so. And we are especially proud that so many other top sporting events followed the example set by the US Open on gender equity. But we wanted to aim even higher, and so did US Squash, and so did Tracy and Shannon Specter. We didn't just want to build a proper home for top amateur and professional players already at the apex of their game. We also wanted the Specter Center to be a transformational catalyst for diversity and inclusion by embracing its community in a way that the game of squash had never done so before. So we're excited to help open the magnificent game of squash to everyone in our community. With our great partners from Squash Smarts, we are running clinics to teach squash to Philadelphia school children who will receive tutoring and mentoring throughout the program, and encouragement to consider squash as their sport, and perhaps even their ticket to college. We are offering free and reduced cost memberships to the Specter Center, and in making Philadelphia the capital of American squash, the Specter Center will have a significant economic and social impact. It will bring dozens of jobs and commercial opportunities to University City, where, as part of our Federal Promise Zone, we are helping to build meaningful capacity through new community programs, improved public education, and greater economic opportunity for the entire West Philadelphia community. We thank Tracy and Shannon Specter for their incredible vision and generous leadership gift. This is the largest gift in the history of squash. It jumpstarted this ambitious project to transform this historic armory into the gem that we behold today, the finest squash facility in the world. And graced by the name of one of the greatest public servants in the history of our country, the late Senator Arlen Specter. I also want to recognize the critical role the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has played, especially Governor Tom Wolf and Randy Albright, who served as State Budget Secretary when this project first started. In addition, I want to thank former Pennsylvania Adjutant General Tony Corelli, Department of Military and Veterans Affairs Executive Deputy Secretary Mark Ferraro, and Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Maritinkas, who is the commander of the 103rd Brigade Engineer Battalion based right here at the Armory. and my incredible team from Drexel. So many people, I'll just name a few: Eric Zilmer, Brian Keach, Dave Wilson, Lucy Kerman, Rebecca Lasher, Melissa Brown, Nancy Trainer, Donald Moore, Sabir Sahu, Don Liberati, David Unruh, Helen Bowman, and Dave Rasenko really did a big lift on this side of the house with their partners from US Squash. And nothing meaningful or far-reaching happens without my trustees. Our chair, Rich Greenewalt, is here, as is our vice chair, Stan Silverman, and also trustees Sibby Brassler, Karen Buchholz, George Kroll, and Tom Klein had faith and confidence in this venture and gave it their full support. We truly believe the Specter Center will live each and every day by its motto, "You belong." You belong. And it will be a community center anchored in the values of access and inclusion. That motto and the spirit of civic engagement that it exemplifies fits Drexel to a T. That's why it's so meaningful for us to partner with US Squash for the benefit of our university community, our neighborhood, and all of Philadelphia. So congratulations to everyone, and it was a big tent full of amazing people, everyone who helped make the dream of the Arlen Specter US Squash Center come true. Thank you. So Ned talked about a public-private partnership, and without Governor Tom Wolf, this would not have been possible. I believe we have a video coming up where Tom and other public officials will now address us.
Hi, I'm Governor Tom Wolf. Congratulations on the grand opening of the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center. As the new headquarters of U.S. Squash, this new facility will make a profound difference in the Philadelphia community. The Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center will bring jobs and increase local economic activity, and will also provide recreation opportunities and sustain community engagement for residents all across the city. Thank you to everyone who played a part in bringing this project to life. I can't wait to see what the new Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center will do for U.S. Squash and for the Philadelphia community.
Hello everyone. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person for this landmark event. This must be an exciting and proud moment for all those involved. The Specter Centre is a fabulous statement building. It's pioneering in its own right and a game changer for US squash and indeed for squash globally. I can envisage the Specter Centre taking future world events to new levels, and I can't wait to visit in person very soon. Congratulations to all those who have helped make the Specter Centre happen, and enjoy your celebration.
On behalf of the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, I just want to congratulate Kevin and all of US Squash for the launching of the Specter Center. This is an exciting development for all the high-performance athletes, and I'm sure this building will be the envy of national governing bodies in this country. Congratulations.
Congratulations, oh my gosh, US Squash and the new US Squash Center opening ceremonies coming up. I so wish I could be there. It's incredible what's happened in the US in terms of the growth of squash, changing the face of squash. It's becoming so much more accessible. Athletes can train in their home country. Congratulations, I wish I was there. Well done.
Dear friends, in January 2020, I was kindly invited to the US Squash Board meeting to witness the presentation made by Ned Edwards with regard to the Specter Center. It was just a design, nice slides, nice photos. But now, it's a reality, and I was already hugely impressed. Today, the Specter National Center has come to life, thanks to the hard work and commitment of US Squash and its staff. And I would like to personally congratulate US Squash, its donors, and all the people involved in this spectacular venue. US Squash can be proud of reaching this milestone in these trying times. And now you have in your hands the most spectacular and magnificent national center in the world. And I can't wait to see the best players of the world coming and competing for a World Squash Federation event in Philadelphia.
On behalf of all the PSA players, I'd like to say a massive congratulations to US Squash for the opening of this fantastic Arlen Specter US National Squash Centre. When you walk in, you're absolutely awestruck. Just the amount of courts, the setting and everything. It's quite a dramatic setting when you walk in, and it really takes you aback. I think it's going to be fantastic for the growth of squash in the US over the coming years.
Congratulations, US Squash. I've been following the social media posts and seeing all these comments about how spectacular and sensational the new facility is. No doubt the US Open and the opening party will be a huge success. You will be the envy of many a nation, I'm sure. I hope to return to North America in the near future and maybe come and visit and even try out the courts for myself. Congratulations once again.
Hello, everyone. I'm real pleased to have a chance to talk to you all today because I have a confession to make. I loved Arlen Specter. That may not seem like such a startling statement to make, but in truth, Arlen wasn't an easy guy to love. But I loved him because of the things he stood for. He was a great boss. Sometimes he scared the daylights out of us, but he always kept reminding us we're here to represent the people. And we've got to treat people like you'd want your own mother to be treated. That was a great message. Arlen was a great messenger. All through his career, he did things that protected people, that created opportunity for people that had none, that moved the ball in a profession where sometimes it's pretty hard to get anything done. Arlen knew how to get things done, and he did them for the right reasons. He never made a decision based on politics alone. He never made a decision that was based on anything other than what he thought was the right thing for the public. And that's a great thing to say about any public servant. You know, if Arlen could have spoken to us, I think he would have said how tickled he was that we're naming this squash center after him, because he loved squash. He loved squash so much that he even surprised me when I saw him come to the sporting club to play squash in the middle of weeks when he was having chemotherapy. He would have chemo on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but play squash on Tuesday and Thursday. Squash was a great release for him, but he loved it with all his heart. So I think it's a great honor for Arlen to have this great building and this great center named after him. And whoever his idea was, good job. And Arlen, if you're up there, we owe you an awful lot. But I know when people named this building after you knew how much you'd get a kick out of it.
I want to congratulate US Squash for putting up this amazing facility at the Specter Center in the hopes of growing the sport in the country, at the same time setting an example for all countries to follow. And I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Amanda Sylvie for reaching great heights for US Squash, being world number 3, not just for US Squash but women's squash in the country. All the best in everything y'all do, and take care and enjoy the tournament.
Please welcome City of Philadelphia Councilmember Jamie Gartier.
Good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you, celebrating the grand opening of this incredible facility. First and foremost, I want to thank Ned Edwards and Kevin Klipstein and everyone at US Squash for all of their hard work, which has culminated in all of us celebrating together tonight. So let's give them a round of applause. When I first got the chance to tour the Specter Center last month, I was truly blown away. The fact that we have this beautiful new amenity right here in the 3rd District is really something to be proud of. I'm going to be honest with you, though. Squash isn't on most people's radar as a pastime in our corner of the city. As a born and raised West Philly resident, it certainly was not on mine. So my initial thought was, who is this amenity for and who will it benefit? But the more I learned about the center, about their school programs, about squash marts, about their free clinics and sponsored memberships, the more I realized that this wasn't just a new home of Squash Team USA. Kevin and Ned and their team are intentional about making this a true community center, one that's integrated with the surrounding neighborhoods and that's responsive to our residents' needs and their interests as well. And so in other words, they're not just sitting back and waiting for folks to come into the center. Whether it's hosting health clinics, pizza nights, or other community-focused events, they're making a real proactive effort to bring people in and to make them feel like this is a place that's accessible to them. And the Specter Center is measuring their success based on the response they get from the community. And I have to say, that's really a breath of fresh air. As we all know, the last year and a half has been incredibly challenging. Between the COVID pandemic and the gun violence epidemic, many residents of my district have been under an unbelievable amount of stress. And to address our gun violence epidemic in particular, providing our kids with safe, healthy outlets to get involved with out-of-school time activities is one of the most important things we can do to ensure that they are supported and that they thrive. And so I really see the Specter Center as a win-win for our community. West Philly residents, and in particular our young people, get all the benefits of having a world-class athletic facility in their backyard, and on top of that, a facility that's run by people who genuinely want to bring them into the fold. And U.S. Squash has the opportunity to broaden their impact, to get more people involved in the sport, and to ensure its vitality for generations to come. And so I'm thrilled to continue building this partnership in the years to come. I want to give a special shout out to my council colleague, Councilmember Helen Gim, who's in the house tonight. And with that, I'll say congratulations to everyone involved with this project, and please, please enjoy the evening. Thank you so much.
Warm thank you to all the people, Ned, Shannon, Kevin, Coach, and the many other people who worked hard to make today a reality and to build this incredible new home for U.S. Squash. I can remember 4 years ago sitting in a room with Kevin and Coach Asiante and laying out a blueprint for the future of U.S. Squash. Our goal was to get in touch with the youngest players starting at 13 in the country and seek out the best players while also emphasizing character and sportsmanship as equally important values to members of our team. Here we are, 4 years later, at an exciting inflection point and catalyst for our future. The torch from Coach Asiane is being passed to Bengi. I look forward to working with you and with this center and your leadership and the foundation that's already been established. I've got nothing but huge optimism for the future of U.S. Squash as we compete on the international stage to be the best we can be.
It's very important, of course, to have the Team USA training in this complex, but one thing very special about this complex is there is also the community squash and also for members. You know, I think this will also allow the up-and-coming juniors, the members, to watch Team USA training, and hopefully, you know, will inspire more players to pick up the game and to inspire them to be a better player and hopefully to represent Team USA in the future.
The Specter Center is so unique in the sense that, you know, we have this opportunity here to create one of the biggest programs in the world and have the most inclusive and accessible model for what a squash club could be. So the uniqueness, I think, will come in the sense that, you know, we can have so many different things happening here on any given week. And players that are brand new to the sport can be watching Team USA train or compete, you know, right before they go on and learn how to hit a forehand.
The Specter Center presents a great focal point for our community, not just the players, but thinking about officials, thinking about our coaches, how we can bring them together into one place, and then we can explore different ideas about how to improve the game or improve our officiating. Just bringing people together and sharing ideas is just a fantastic way to develop. We are a community, and just sharing the different views, I think, will help to improve where we go and professionalize what we do in terms of officiating and coaching.
With this program in place, we have a massive impact not just in the elite program, but throughout the country. I think it's important that all the coaches, all the players from USA will be able to work together, and end of the day, we're here to be better than tomorrow, and I truly believe that this program will have a big impact in future.
This is a total game changer, and it's for a couple of reasons, but I think Team USA has always been very close because squash is a small sport, and that inherently brings people together. But still, everybody was very individual, and I used to train in New York. A lot of the other players were spread out, and I think having everybody here is bridging the gap between an individual sport and a team sport. And it's just amazing to have that environment where your teammates are by you while you're working as hard as possible.
This is home. This is home sweet home. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We live 8 miles down the road, down the Schuylkill, and coming into this type of facility every day, I don't see how anyone couldn't be excited, energized, motivated, ready to push themselves. And I just think it's gonna be, this is the start of something really, really, really special.
This is something that I've been wanting for years in my career, to be able to have a national center where I can walk in and have everything that I need right under one roof. Being a professional squash player, it's not that lucrative, and it's such a tough and demanding sport. So to be able to have that backing where all I need to do is focus on training and focus on performing and results and just putting in the work and putting in the training, and know that I have that backing, I have that financial support from US Squash, and now with the National Center, I have everything I need under one roof. So I'm super duper grateful for this opportunity and just to be able to have this in my career.
The Community Squash Center is going to break down barriers. When squash is normally known as just a sport for the athlete, the Community Center is going to now allow the athlete to pull in their family, their mom, their younger siblings, for us to now create a pipeline of squash players, a generation of squash enthusiasts, all coming from the city of Philadelphia, something we've never seen before.
Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center will be a chance to bring all pieces, all fragments of the squash world together under one roof. To have the world's best players in the Team USA athletes next to and side by side with and training with the student athletes from the Squash Marts program and the community around West Philadelphia is going to be a truly extraordinary opportunity.
To have 20 courts and to have so many kids being able to play squash and have the opportunity, I'm really excited to see what we can do. Really passionate about growing the girls' game and the women's game, and hope that's really going to take off here as well, and know we can just crush it nationally, and this is the place to start it.
I want them to feel that this is also for them, that there are people here that look like them, that live in the community, and this really is a community resource. That, I think, if that were able to happen, that's a huge, huge accomplishment that has value and can change lives.
I just want to say thank you. I think it's really hard. We're athletes. We're inherently selfish. We like things to be done for us. We want the best of the best, and I think we got the best of the best. I mean, how much more can you ask for than these beautiful facilities? Like I said, the resources. We've got our national coach now. We have our strength and conditioning. We've got our fueling station. We have everything that we need in order to thrive, and I just want to say thank you.
So at the Specter Center, we make sure that when anyone walks through the door that they can see themselves here. We do that with our staff members, we do that with our coaching staff, we do that with the way that we greet people at the door. And I think that's very important, because if you don't see yourself inside of a space, you'll never come back. So we want to make sure that the college students can see themselves playing here. We want to make sure that the elderly can see themselves playing here. We want to make sure that the youth can see themselves playing here, no matter your background, no matter your tax bracket, no matter your demographic. We want you here at the center.
Please welcome Arlen Specter.
Okay, I've got some great news for you. Ready? I'm the last speaker. How great is that? Everything has been said, but not everyone has said it. So let me see if I can say a couple of things you haven't heard. First, this is a great night for America. A great night for America. And here's why. Number one, squash. Let's talk about squash for a moment, could we? Forbes magazine says it's the #1 most efficient workout, okay? 45 minutes on one of these courts and you've got a great workout. Jamie, I want you to play squash. I want to play squash with you, okay? I think I can make you a squash player. Good, good. Because it's a game that you can love and enjoy as a beginner, right? Not like golf or other sports that are really tough to enjoy as a beginner. You can play this game and get a good workout right away. And the people in this room, you're the ambassadors for this sport. But that means more than giving money or showing up or belonging to U.S. Squash. It means taking folks on the squash court and introducing them to the game. And when you do that, you will get converts and we'll have more players and we'll fill places like this all across America. Number two, we've got 10 public league teams playing here. We're going to have the only public league for squash in the Western Hemisphere. How about that? Now, how did this happen? How did this happen? John Fry. John Fry. And let me tell you how I know that. You talk about 13 years ago, Kevin going down to see John at Lancaster. Kevin was willing to put a national center in Lancaster because John Fry was committed to it. Thank God that John Fry came to Philadelphia to run Drexel University. And what's the first thing that John Fry did when he came to Drexel University? He brought John White, former world #1, to be the squash coach here. He looked at the crummy facility that he had across the street, and he went out to find a couple of recruits to build a new squash center across the street. And he got his hooks into Tom Klein and Arlen Specter. And that permitted Drexel to move forward to be able to break into the top 10 with both women's and men's teams. And that provided the impetus for doing this across the street. John Fry is a person you can't say no to. Why? Because he's trustworthy, because you know that when he tells you something, he will do it, because you know if he believes in something, it can be done. So that when he went to Tom Klein and said, I want to turn Drexel's law school into a world-class law school, Tom, but I need your help, he got Tom to fork over a ton of money to endow the Klein School of Law a block from here, which has transformed Drexel's law program into among the nation's best. And so when John came and, excuse me, solicited Tracy and me, it was the easiest yes ever. This has been a bargain for the Specters. This is a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Many of my father's chiefs of staff are here. I see Dave Urban, Scott Hoflish, Pat Meehan. These fellas knew how important squash was to my father. He knew how important squash was to our family. John Fry knew that Tracy and I met on the Penn courts in October of 1982. He knew that my father had taught me squash beginning at the age of 12 at the old Jewish Y at Broad and Pine, that we played together in the crummy courts at West Village. When I was in high school, went back and forth and made the pencil marks on the locker room door, and all of those who are parents or siblings here, you know what that means with your family about that kind of competition and how it brings forward athletics and competition that you can take forward. And you know, my father used to say, "I'm not a squash player. I play squash." He was a blue-collar squash player. He didn't belong to a fancy country club. He played wherever he could. He carried a racket wherever he went. Jim Zug, the historian of squash, says that he was the most well-traveled squash player in the history of the world, playing in over 100 countries. It was so important to him. Ned made the point earlier about how he would say, quote, "I used to say that squash was the most important thing I did every day, and now I say it's the only important thing I do every day." I'm so happy that so many of his expressions are on the walls of this facility. I urge you to read the exhibition to my father by the front desk that talks about how he felt about squash. Next to the exhibition courts are two of his favorite expressions, one being that integrity is the most important value in America. And don't we squash players know that when we're on the court, how important it is to call our own double bounces and call the ball when it's out and offer a let point, and how much sportsmanship we learn on the squash court, and how that's a model for our lives going forward. And the other expression right over here, you're never too far behind to win, and you're never too far ahead to lose. And don't we know that about sports and about life? So the lessons of Arlen Specter are the lessons of U.S. squash. They're the lessons of being valued and constructive citizens in our country. We're just so honored to be a part of it. If my dad were here, he would say, "How much did this cost, really?" My dad would say that he is so happy that this is a community center. It's the largest squash community center in the world. He'd be so happy about the slogan, "You belong." He would say, "Let's play squash." It's my pleasure to pass the baton to Socorro Miller.
The Specter Center is officially open.
Ladies and gentlemen, matches will resume on 4 courts at 7:15, including Team USA member world number 3, Amanda Sobey, playing on the East Glass Court.
Welcome back. An amazing grand opening ceremony. You can see all the lights up now. The court lights are up, which is somehow apropos that we're actually ready for play now. So, you know,
Yes.
what were your impressions and excitement about finally being open?
It's so exciting to finally know that it's open and everything's ready to go. I'm personally really excited to now see the squash. We've got Amanda Sobey on first. I think you've got 3 of your US women playing. Amanda, and I think then it's probably...
I think we have Olivia Fichter on later tonight.
Yeah, and Serena.
Yep.
So it's a great night for women's squash in America. I wish them all luck, obviously. And then also looking forward, I think it'd just be so exciting. Like people like you and me, and there's many other people in this building who have spent our whole lives around squash. And it's so exciting to see a centre like this come to fruition and just to see what happens from here. You know, see what programs come out of it, how many people we can get in from the community playing squash. No, it's just really, really exciting. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what events they can be. I'm personally going to be back regularly because I'm coming on a junior squash perspective as a coach. So I'm super excited to be coming back regularly to the centre. As I know our juniors at the club I work, they love coming here. So no, I think the future's super bright and super exciting.
Yeah, it's this fun balance for us between this building that is so rooted in history, you know, more than a 100-year-old building that can trace its roots back to its military history with the original Armory Battalion started by Benjamin Franklin in 1747.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, here we are almost 300 years later opening a National Squash Center in this modern space that is designed to basically be open to the entire community. So there's this amazing through line both for the sport, but also for the city of Philadelphia and what we're doing. So we hope to see you back here a lot.
Hopefully.
I think you're actually obligated to come no matter what, but we want you to choose to be here.
Yes.
And you know, we're just excited to use this facility to showcase why we love the sport so much to everyone else. So as I said right before the grand opening ceremony, our motto here is "You belong," and at the end of the day, that underpins everything we do here at the Specter Center. And we want to make sure that everyone is welcome to experience this great sport, whether they're from the community around us, whether they're from the nation or around the world. So I really appreciate you coming and being a part of this tonight.
I wouldn't have missed this, yeah.
We'll get you a regular Amtrak ticket and get you up and down from New York on a regular basis.
Great.
And to everyone around the country and around the world, we hope you're able to join us here soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the grand opening ceremony. So on behalf of US Squash and all of us here at the Specter Center, we hope you have a great night, and definitely tune in and watch the US Open matches for the 2021 US Open Championships presented by Truist for the rest of the week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.